Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome to the Off-White Appetite.
It's a new podcast between my buddy Aaron and I. We have a craving for the non-traditional, and we're hoping to take you along on this journey as we discover tips and tricks and trends in the wedding industry and beyond. Aaron, what's good, my dude?
Hey, it's good, man. Just to introduce ourselves, for me, we're in a wedding business called Focus Journey Media. We've been in the industry for about going on 6 years, and definitely discovered a lot throughout those years. So
yeah, nice, man. Yeah, my name's Chase, and as you know, and now they know, I have my own business called Chase Daley Photo and Film House. I started it amidst the pandemic, as did a lot of people, focusing on primarily weddings, but I do some brand work and some fun stuff and short films. But yeah, primarily weddings, which is how we met.
Yeah, for sure. And fun fact, Chase actually shot my wedding, which we'll talk about later.
Yeah.
And for our business and Focus Journey, we also focus on photo and video, which we kind of developed and kind of made it cohesive throughout the years. And I've seen it just work.
Yeah.
And I think it's just a way to just have an all-inclusive experience for couples. But going back real quick, you started off doing video first, right? Tell us a story real quick.
I started off in primarily video. I mean, I had some Fuji gear. I was messing around with photos and fell in love with it, but I thought, man, video is just more dynamic, and it was where I was really, where I was drawn. So I started off in video primarily, and I was kind of mentioning to you earlier, I avoided photo because I really, as I got into the industry, I thought I was stepping on toes of my fellow photographer friends, but I realized really quick that there are so many weddings to go around. Like, there are so many couples and there's so many styles, and I was like, you know what, I'm not going to limit my creativity and my, as I have that insecurity where I guarantee most of these photographer friends, they would not care, And I found out to be very supportive. All my friends who are fellow hybrid shooters, or just photographers, they didn't care one bit. They were very supportive. So yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. What about you though? How did how'd you get into photo and video?
Yeah, I mean, photo was kind of my first thing. Started off with landscape photography back in 2014, and it involved a lot of traveling with friends, and just love documenting the in-betweens.
Yeah, man.
And the very same people I started traveling with to this day, still know them. And those very same people, we started a wedding business together back in 2018, and we just had a drive to just capture stories. That's kind of our main thing, but having fun in the process.
Yeah, it makes a difference when you have a group of people who all have a very similar goal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It makes it feel less like a job, know? I think that's the hardest part for me, because I came from working, other jobs where I was collaborating with a lot of people, into being like a solo creator. Yeah. It was like, I'm unloading all of my trials and tribulations on my wife, and she's as my coworker.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's nice since you have a group of people to kind of, bounce ideas off of and collaborate. When it's myself, it's just me. So I'm learning really to form that community of people like yourself. You could bring people in to help you accomplish certain goals, in jobs. Sure. Yeah.
For sure. It makes it more fun, man.
Yeah.
Because the days are going to be stressful. It's a lot of pressure, but dealing with people that you trust and know, it doesn't feel like work.
Yeah.
We're still working hard, but during the day, it's I know I can trust that person to bounce ideas off of, and just doing this business together makes it a whole different experience. Just for me working the wedding, but also for the couple, the client that we're servicing.
Yeah.
They see our synergy and our chemistry during the day. It's wow, you're just friends just hanging out with us during the day. So
yeah,
but you have your wife though, which is cool. You kind of signed her up.
Yeah. I know my wife I feel like a lot of people who have spouses or significant others and they're creatives, inevitably I think they're going to try to tap into them helping out.
Yeah.
I mean, at least for me, because I was like, hey, if for one, a couple doesn't have a budget to add in a second shooter, an assistant, but I know that it's necessary for the day to accomplish it, whether it's logistics, timeline, or it's just maybe it's a large venue. Having her there to help has been great. I mean, the first time she ever helped, I just gave her a Sony 50 G Master. I said, point this at anything. It'll look good. Right. You know, here's the settings. You need to just, I threw her into video, man, like straight in the deep end. She never did it before. That's like, and she helped me capture arguably like one of my favorite films moments from one of my favorite films. So yeah, shout out to her for helping. Her name's Abby. She's awesome. Super, super grateful that she was there. Cause yeah, it really does make a difference, you know?
Yeah.
Cause you know, I think 95% of my films are just me. Really? And then like some of my best films you've been a part of as like a helping me out as my second shooter. Cause and that was like a game changer. Cause I was like, okay, when you find the people you trust that you're like, hey, I don't have to tell you what to do. Just go do your thing. And it works. That's a huge like burden lifted. Because, you know, like the wedding days are insane. Yeah. I mean, we're like on our feet 10, 12 hours a day being creative and brainstorming and like problem solving a million different things, and especially in video, which we can talk more about the priority of video lately in weddings. You know, like we're managing sound. We're, you know, several sound devices. We're managing 4, 5, 6 cameras. Right. We're managing light. We're managing, I mean, tripods and monopods, gimbals and handheld rigs. And I mean, it's just like, it's just overwhelming when I start thinking about it. But you know, and when you have someone there that just gets it, and they're like, hey man, can you go like set this light up? I know it's going to be done the correct way. 100%. You know, like that one wedding we worked together at Stanford. Stanford Church.
So much logistics.
So many logistics, you know, and like that space, Stanford Church is so large, and like where we could shoot was very specific, and like, you know, just having you there, like capturing those things or capturing the party bus, was such a game changer. It made the film that much better, you know. So yeah, it's nice when you have people. You start to form a community, you know, makes a difference.
Definitely, community is key.
Yeah,
but if you notice this now, you mentioned that like video is such an underlooked thing. People don't really realize how much work we put in behind the scenes, but not just behind the scenes, right? Like, we haven't even talked about editing yet. Yeah, post production, but just the pre-production of things, and especially in the day of, like thinking ahead of time. Yeah, you know, I know we work in sync with photographers too, but we kind of do some extra work for it to work. But for me, it's like I still remember my first wedding film, the first time I shot it. That's when I realized, like, dang, video is hard. Yeah. You know, it's actually with my wife. And that's like how you had your wife do it too. With my wife now, you know, that was back in like 2017. And it's like, you know, this is before all the Sonys came out. It's the first few like video cameras. And just realized, wow, there's so much setting up, like frame rates you got to realize. Yeah. Being, you know, right place at the right time, lighting. It got dark, like, oh, shoot, we got to set up this light now. Now we got Grant engines coming in. Oh, the audio's not plugged in. Oh, so many little things, especially as the first time, like you got to really realize, you know, ahead of time, like, oh, so many little things we had to prep for. So, man, video is definitely, after that day, it's like, dude, it's so much valuable and more. I feel like we should charge more for video. Yeah. You know, and feel like photography has been there, of course, for centuries and years. And I think people still value that during that time when I first started video, at least. It's like, man, I think video is going to be the next thing. Yeah. So what do you think about, since you started video first, you know, but you doing photo on the side, so what do you kind of think about the whole dynamic between those two?
Well, I think that's the cool part for the two of us, because we both essentially are hybrid shooters. We do photo and video. Is that when you see both sides, you're not making this like, you know, I don't want to say like, a lot of photographers, I think, are think that video maybe is a little vindictive, you know? Yeah. And like, we're not after you guys, you know? We're, especially because we do both. We're just like realizing, like, hey, straight up, like we manage more on the day of, like, you know. And there are definitely videographers, filmmakers who will piggyback a lot on what the photographer's doing. But as someone who also shoots photo, I try not to make it that way. I try to also help lead, because the client experience is just as important in my business as theirs, you know? For sure. So I think that you know, we just manage so many more things on the day of, as well as we have to be creative. As you know, we're focusing on the next thing coming up. You know, there's nothing worse than getting ready to do grand entrance and speeches or first dances and realizing your recorder is not on. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yes. Like, I've had it happen, just happened recently to me. Jeez. But I knew, and I couldn't leave. I was by myself. I saw it across the venue, realized it wasn't on, but I made the move real quick and had my main camera right in front of the speaker. like the actual speaker from the DJ.
Yeah.
So I was like, this will catch everything. I know it will work, and it worked. It worked.
Wow.
It saved my ass, man.
Wow.
So like just being able to like have your head on a swivel,
Yeah.
you know, in video. I mean, it's photo too, obviously, but anticipating moments is very, very important. But yeah, and I think that with all of the kind of content we absorb, especially with TikTok and IG, you know, like Reels and short form content, we absorb video more than anything. It's the number one consumed media,
Right.
which is not surprising that now people are prioritizing video.
Right.
You know, like why do you, I mean, like you said, like photographers have been around forever, and, you know, it's always been kind of considered the most important vendor at a wedding.
That's the first thing they book.
First thing they book, either their venue or photographer.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
I mean, it's been a staple.
Yeah.
I mean, looking at your family's albums,
Yeah.
you know, my family's wedding album was all on film, right? So like, wow, that's like, it's timeless.
It is, yeah.
You know, and video is still a new thing, I'd say, but not until, like you said, like 2018, 2019, 2020, like since the pandemic, that's when a lot more content's been pushed out.
Yeah.
Especially short form. And a lot of these short form wedding reels are being pushed out, like, oh, I want that.
Yeah.
I want those little snippets. But yeah, photography is like, I never shot a wedding where it's only me, the videographer, no photographer.
Yeah, that's true. That is
so
true.
I was like, it's always a photographer. Either like there's no videographer, but you don't see the opposite.
Yeah.
So
that's
I think
that's a wild thing to actually think about.
Yeah, because you know, photos tangible. You can print that out. You know, you can frame it. You know, I never know. Like, videos can be framed in the future.
Yeah, I think we're getting to the point where, you know, 12K sensors, you know, if you have that, you can take clean stills.
I know.
If you have a high enough frame rate, like if you're shooting in like, you know, like 240 for whatever reason, but if you were, you could pull a clean
240 frames
still image. I mean, I'll tell you a story. I had this one wedding, and the photographer, she's a friend of mine, she's amazing, but she, you know, she was contracted for only 7 hours, and the wedding ran so far behind. I mean, several hours behind. And she was like, hey, like I mean, I'm to the point where I'm up, my time's up. And the couple was like, you know, they didn't really want to add any time because of her price is pretty up there. Very valuable though. I completed my price is up there too for extra hours. But so she left. But it was before first dances, speeches, all these extra things because it was so far behind. And so then later on, the couple asked, "Hey, is there any way you can create stills, like a stills gallery from these moments that we don't have?" And I was like, "Yeah. I mean, it's going to take me a lot of time, and it's going to be harder. It won't look the same
for sure."
But I had to find those moments where there's like not as much motion blur. And it worked, but like, you know, those are those kind of things, you know, like where video, if you get, it might get good enough where it could help, you know, I don't want to say replace a photographer.
Oh, it's still, dude, it still works. It's still an image.
Yeah.
It's captured. So
what do you think, you know, and now you see like videographers being prioritized a lot more, but I think there's a couple of reasons for that, not just from TikTok and IG. Personally, I think that people are now seeing a very different style of wedding films.
I agree.
Right? They're not so, I mean, they still exist, the stuffy, stale, everything's shot in 40 or, you know, or 60 frames per second, 4K 60. If that, some are still getting like 1080, and that's fine. But like, you know, I think there's still a plenty of those cookie cutter films, as I like to call them. But I think the filmmaking quality is leaps and bounds different now. So they're starting to see the value.
For sure. When I first started, like a lot of the films were traditional.
Yeah.
Let's say, like I would say now it's, like I said, a slow motion, 120
Yeah.
FPS B-roll.
It's just B-roll
all day, you know. But
just staring at a candle for
I know,
way too long.
Seriously, like walking towards me for like 10 seconds, like yo.
Yeah, just staring me down.
Every little movement.
Yeah.
Which is fine. It was a trend back then. There was trends.
It was, but like not, you know, I think this is very important to learn for young filmmakers that are just starting out. Not everything needs to be slow-mo.
No.
You know what I mean? I mean, that was a mistake I made because it's like, it looks cool and you start seeing the bokeh and the slow-mo. You're like, damn, this looks cinematic. But just no.
Yeah.
Not everything. It really is a time and place.
Right.
Yeah.
I think filmmaking should be freeing for us creators too. Gear shouldn't hold us back.
Yeah.
I think the moment when I let go of the gimbal,
oh yeah, man,
that's when it kind of changed for me.
Sir.
It's like shooting handheld, and it's okay. Mm-hmm. And knowing that it's okay to shoot that way, and it actually feels more organic.
Yeah.
And it feels more free, like to move. And I feel like I can capture more raw moments that way.
Totally.
Than having a gimbal or having a monopod you got to set up all the time, which is fine in certain scenarios. But
Yeah.
with cameras now, I think that's what changed a lot, because cameras now, like, developed Ibis.
Yeah.
Before, like back in when I started, there was no Ibis back then.
Yeah. Having a stabilized sensor is such a game changer.
Yeah.
I mean, it really does offer like a little bit more of a peace of mind, because you can get away with that sway.
Yeah.
That natural sway that feels like you're watching The Office.
Right.
You know what I mean? People like seeing it because they can relate. They're like, oh, I've seen that. Like that kind of movement's not jarring.
Right.
There's a difference between the sway and the micro jitters.
Right.
So,
Right. Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, I completely agree with you. Like when I first started and shot a little styled shoot, it was my first attempt at video, and like I rented a gimbal because I thought that's what I needed. I didn't know. I thought I needed that, and I was trying to balance that shit on rocks down in Forest Hill, and it was like shaking like crazy. And I looked at it, I was like, oh no. And I threw that gimbal down, and ever since then, I've been straight like a handheld guy.
Yeah.
And everyone was always very shocked. They're like, how? I don't understand. Some of your shots, they don't look like it. I'm like, yeah, stabilization in post.
Yeah, that too. Editors have evolved too.
The editing software is such a better place now.
Stabilizer's clutch now.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like I feel video has become more. I think it's the FOMO aspect too.
Yeah.
That having video, like a lot of people, I think, since when video became a trend, and couples who got married during that time when videos on the come up look back now, like, dang, I wish I had video.
I mean, I'm one of them.
Yeah.
Legitimately.
You didn't have a wedding film?
No, I didn't have a wedding film. Ironically enough, it's what I do for a living. And when we got married in 2019, November 2019, right before the pandemic, we did a very DIY wedding because we were familiar with weddings. We understood how it floats. We were like, we can do this on our own, more of a budget. And we had our photographer, Nicolette, who's amazing, but she's not a wedding photographer. But she was like, I'll do it for you guys. But she wasn't even the most comfortable doing it at first because it's not her realm. She does brand stuff. But she did an amazing job. And we cherish our photos. We absolutely love them. We have them printed out. They're gorgeous. But like I was saying to you, the other day or earlier today, my favorite thing we have are these shitty cell phone videos that my mother-in-law took of our speeches. They are so awesome to relive. It really does take you back.
Yeah.
But we didn't have it in our budget. And like, to anyone now, new clients that are like, we do our discovery calls, I tell them like, this isn't a sales pitch. I'm not good at sales. Really, it's, if you are considering video, find the money somewhere.
Yeah, right.
Like, you will always make more money in the future. This is the one thing that if you can find the money from someone, borrow that shit from someone, take out, I don't care what you have to do, you will not regret it. And it's funny is, my wife and I were talking about this, even if you have the shittiest wedding film, you're still going to love it.
Right.
Because it's you and your partner.
That's deep.
You still are going to experience those things together and see them and hear them, no matter how bad it is.
Yeah.
I mean, hopefully it's not bad.
Yeah, not like,
but no matter how bad it is, like I said, even those cell phone videos that were just poor, like my mother-in-law just was, she's just taking them normally. Yeah. I value those things more than probably any possession I have.
Right.
They're that important to me. So
no, seriously. And those are the moments you can't take back.
No. Yeah.
But at least you have those iPhone footage.
Yeah, man.
At least a little bit. See that a little bit. But now it's like, oh, now I want to see the full thing.
I know. Wish I could have, which just kind of leads me into this little question for you. What do you think of content creators at weddings?
Content creators?
Yeah.
Talk about like people who have iPhones?
Yeah, they're hiring them specifically for it's like more like BTS, but some of them are more involved. Some of them are more like, hey, I'm here to film like reels and TikToks. And like some of them are more in your face, and I dare I say in the way,
Yeah, it can be. I mean, someone set those boundaries, but it's crazy. Like, it's not even a mentioned thing back in the day to have a content creator that the couple actually pay for.
Yeah.
To do a reel or a TikTok at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So now you have another element of like someone with the phone next to you.
Yeah.
And when I think about that, I mean, it's like if the couple's that values that short form stuff, sure, but just know that it can take away from your experience.
I think so,
and from the couple experience, and from us too, is like, what if they're more in your face and we have to get something there end the way? Yeah,
or like capturing raw moments as they happen. My biggest thing for me, and I have this conversation with photographers before I start. Yeah. Like, hey, I really rely heavily on raw audio. Like, ambient audio.
Yeah.
So the more you cackle and talk and interrupt, it actually fucks up my, overall film, because maybe the bride and the mom are having a beautiful moment and she's zipping the dress and they're talking, and all I hear is this damn shutter, because they, I'm sorry, we're shooting mirrorless cameras. Turn your damn shutter off.
Actually, for special moments,
shoot
like
that shit on electronic shutter. You don't need that click going. There's that going off, and then there's direction maybe happening, and it's like just let the moment happen, right? Yeah. So like I always have that conversation now with photographers after I had a bad experience with one that just ruined all my audio. I mean, she was talking 24/7, and it ruined all the audio, and I was like, oh my gosh.
Just directing all day.
Everything, directing all day, and like. That helped me learn a lot about myself and my business structure, though, and how I approach it and my client experience, because I don't want that for them. Yeah. So yeah, I think they could definitely, and I don't want to sound like an old grumpy man, like, oh, no content creators, but I do have in my contract that I won't work with content creators at weddings, because I think it does distract from my client experience that my company provides.
For sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Not saying don't hire content creator, but just know that fact. And
you got to check with your vendors, because there's might be some vendors like myself who just there's, for example, like if you were a photographer and they give you sneak peeks maybe the next day or a couple of days later, or we as filmmakers maybe create a teaser and you get it within a day or a week or whatever it is, that anticipation it's awesome. Like you get to relive it and it's exciting, right? Yeah. But when you have a content creator there who's delivering something in 24 to 48 hours, what does that do to the whole experience? Right. Like, why are we there, documenting it the way we document it, if they're piggybacking maybe on poses or things that are happening and they're already delivering a very different version of the same moment? Right. It kind of is distracting, and I don't know. I don't know how I completely feel about it yet. I'm trying my best to get on board, because I value anyone trying to hustle and create a business and be a vendor. I'm trying to be a supporter for wedding vendors, but it's very difficult in this industry to stand out as it is. And then if you're having shots, I don't redo shots. I don't know about you, but like I let moments happen organically, and I'm like, I'm not going to ask you to redo it. And if they get in my way during a moment, I'm going to be PS.
Yeah. As long as they don't do that.
You know what I mean?
As long as they don't. That's the only thing, is creating a boundary. Like, hey, to shoot from behind. It's just, but I agree. Definitely agree. Like, we're a generation of instant gratification.
And that's why I think they exist.
And that's it. Like, we're a TikTok short form content generation. I want everything. I want to see it now. Yeah. Even if it's like that quality, and the feeling of like not posting anything after your wedding day. Yeah. Feels like I want something to post, at least something.
Yeah, I mean, what's interesting is like I had a couple who said, "Hey, this is the first I'd ever heard of content creation, vendors," and they asked about it, and I thought, well, we can do it, right? So like I said, "Hey, Abby," I talked to my wife, "Do you want to do this?" And she was like, "Yeah." So for us, it was an easy add-on to our own business, and I think that's a different story. Yeah, like if you're in control, of that situation, you can like candidly say like, "Hey, you're in the way," without being offended. Right? Yeah. Because that's like the hard part. You don't offend anyone or step on other people's toes, because they're there to do their job, right? But we're also there to do our job. And like, I don't want to say, well, one vendor is more important than the other, right? But like the core vendors right there typically are your venue, your coordinator, photographer, videographer, and florist and DJ. Those are the core. I mean, not even I don't even know if florist is always the core. Some people can't afford the florals, but I would say probably I would like to say videographer as a core, but I'd say photographer, obviously, for sure.
Key first.
Trying to get video to be just as important, like we were talking about. But so it's like all those extra coordinators, like I feel like that's more of a adding as an extra. It's an extra thing. And it could, I don't know. I have my first style shoot next week with a content creator. And I've actually debated not doing the shoot because I don't want to advertise that, since I don't work with them.
I see.
So I'm like, well, if we put this out there and they see that I'm with a content creator, and then they try to hire me with that person, and I say, well, sorry. Yeah. I don't want to give off that. You know what I mean? It's important for me. I want to be very transparent with people. So
yeah, I'm curious how that goes.
We'll see how that
Maybe
goes.
lay that boundary on them.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, a styled shoot's a lot different. You're more free and open to experiment, have fun. And that's why I'm doing it. Because it's a group of people I love working with. And I've never worked with this specific vendor before. And always for meeting and collaborating with new people. It's just it's just boundaries. And
Yeah.
like anything in life, setting up a boundary to make sure that you can provide the best product
Yep.
for your client. I think that's just important.
Yeah.
You know?
Seriously. So video is so important. I mean, for my wedding, at least like video is a priority.
Yeah.
I feel like I can't, look back 10 years from now and regretting, dude, we got married 10 years ago. We have no, at least nice footage of us getting married. So it's one of the top lists. Now it's funny, like photo's cool, but I feel like video is a luxury right now.
Yeah.
Is the way I see it. If you can afford it, do it, But
That's true. I agree with that.
afford it, do it. But make sure like when you hire vendors is like just resonate with them, like feel their style. If you're more of an emotional, couple and you see like you resonate with the emotional aspect of whoever you're trying to hire,
Yeah.
then do that. And if you can afford them, that's great, but yeah, when you shot my wedding, I feel like as a client perspective, I feel like what draws me in as a client is always the what do you call that? If I vibe with you, not just like I know your videos are already great, right? You see a lot of great videos out there that you inspire, but like there's always a person behind that work.
Yeah, definitely.
And I feel like that's who you hire.
Yeah.
Then the work.
They're gonna spend a lot of time with you.
Yeah.
So you gotta make sure you like them.
Exactly. So for me, that's what I look for, and that's what for us. That's how we pose ourselves as a YouTube man. Like you know this. It's always the client experience and also just the way you vibe with the couple. That's the kind of like I guess when both those boxes are checked, they go to you because they like your work already.
Yeah.
And it's gonna see like, okay, will I
Typically,
invest my whole, with this guy for the whole day to capture my one and big day. So
yeah. It's like I tell couples like, you're vetting us vendors, but we're also vetting you, and a lot of times they're so shocked by that because I think that couples and clients think they're very much in control of the situation, of the narrative of hiring you. Yeah. And I view it the other way around. I'm hiring you. Yeah. To the couple, right?
Exactly.
And like I tell them all the time, you have to be cool enough for me to leave my kids and my wife on the weekends to go shoot your wedding. Right. Because they're so important to me, and like throughout the week they're in school and we're at work. So the weekends I value them, Yeah. So that's why I cut back on the amount of weddings I'm taking this year. You have to be cool enough. And they're like, a lot of them are like, oh shit. Like that's great. I never thought of it that way. I'm like, like I don't have to work your wedding. You don't have to work their wedding. Yeah. We get to choose to work that wedding if we vibe. Right. That's very important. And when we met, I was like, oh, I'm already a big fan of your photography. So I was like, dope. Nice. So I was like super excited when you guys reached out because it was like I already admired what you did, and I was like, but at the same time when I was editing your film, I was like slightly terrified. Because you're a creative, you're a filmmaker, photographer. I was like, shit. Kept telling my wife, I gotta make this good. Man, that's like funny. And so it was like stressful, but also fun because I was like really flexing some creative, fun stuff in there. And your buddy provided that Digicam footage.
Shouts to my boy David.
Yeah, for that. Shout out David because that was the best gift. I mean, he reached out. He's like, hey, have you finished their film? Yeah. No. Why? I got something for you. And he sent me all this footage, and it was so cool because like. Seeing his point of view, that raw like 90s vibe dad cam, I was like perfect for what I do. And I was like, yep, this is it. Right. Like the end shot, the very, very end of you guys, the sparkler exit. It's one of my favorites because I have both, I have both angles. And then you coming down the aisle too. This is like such a cool, just different. And then like just embracing it. You had buddies. Because you have all your homies there, like that are photographers and creator filmmakers.
We had a lot of iPhone footage.
A lot of it. You had all these people like, I can't remember which friend it was who like, as you're walking down the aisle, he had the X100V. And he like snapped it from Heat, right? Definitely, And he like leaned in, and I was like, it was such a great shot because most people would freak out. Yeah. They'd be like, this person like snuck in the shot. For me, I was like, no, this is amazing. Because then I got the photos from that camera. And used those photos as a little montage,
It's all part of the moment.
Yeah, you got to lean into those things. People are so afraid of it. Right. And it's like, no, use that.
Yeah, and as a creative, right? Like, for me as a consumer, let me tell you this. Like, watching your own wedding film, it's like, it's crazy. It's a crazy experience. Yeah. Because like that's us right there. Yeah. And seeing it unfold in front of our eyes, like it's actually has, that's our day. And not even think about the creative aspect, technical stuff. At the end of the day, you know, I'm a regular human being that
Yeah.
day. I wasn't a photographer. I wasn't a videographer that day. I was a groom, you know, with
Yeah.
his wife and just enjoying the people around them. So when I saw that, like, dude, forget all the technical stuff, creative stuff. This is our day.
Yeah.
So even now, like working backwards when I work on films, it's like, dude, I know I'm working hard to do this great edit. Storytelling is great and stuff, but dude, like back in my mind, if I feel like, you know, trying to be perfectionist and making it a whole production, like, yo, at the end of the day, when they watch this film, it's theirs.
Yeah, they're gonna like. I think they really will love it, no matter what.
Yeah.
Like on the little things we hound and you know, like beat ourselves up over, like little tiny things that they probably won't notice.
Yeah.
But you know, it's what makes us stoked as creators when we can nail those certain visions that we're going for. But
Absolutely.
yeah, at the end of the day, it's their film and their story. You can't force it.
Yeah.
You got to let the day happen as it happens, and then just
That's how I felt like.
tell it the best you can.
Looking back, like, dude, like we did that. Like even recording those moments.
Yeah.
For me, it's like everything happened so quick, and I felt like, you know, it's important to instill into couples is to be present.
Yeah.
On the day. So that's the result of that. You don't feel like everything is like a production or a styled shoot.
Yeah.
You know, and that helps our job to capture everything organically.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I always try to tell couples like, hey, like the best weddings are the ones where you can like just lean back.
Yeah.
Trust that you hired the best team that's going to take care of everything.
Yeah.
And just enjoy each other because, you know, the day happens so fast.
Yeah.
And the cool part about video, I mean, photo too, but for video, you know, there's so many moments that they don't see happening, and we're capturing those in real life, for real. Whether it's testimonials from guests, you know, like getting them to talk to the camera, and like that's so much fun. I just opened a film with one, and it was so fun because it just was real. Like the girl just like grabbed and wanted to talk to the camera, you know, and it was like, yeah, hell yeah, let's do this, you know, and like that stuff is just like you can't. If you try to fake it, it's gonna feel so,
of course,
weird, like odd.
Right.
And there are definitely couples out there who are like keeping up with the Joneses. You know, they're like, they have their friends maybe who had a crazy wedding, so they want to do something bigger and better.
Yeah.
And they want to like provide all these things that they want you to do. And you're like, just enjoy the day.
Yeah.
And it'll be much more fulfilling later on if you didn't feel like you had to force things.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So
yeah, it's wedding day and a photo shoot.
Exactly.
Or a video shoot.
That's why we're talking like I have that styled shoot, and I love styled shoots, but also hate them because the reality of it is like it's like misrepresents the possibilities at weddings sometimes.
Right.
Because like we have those perfect settings we love. I mean, it's great. We have sometimes the best lighting and time of day to shoot, and that's not real at a wedding always, you know. So it's just like a chance for us to flex our creative muscle at styled shoots.
I think so.
Right.
I think
and have fun.
That's a good idea. That's a good
but
way to
like,
put it.
It's not always realistic at a wedding, you know.
Especially when you post it, like, dude, that's too good to be true.
It is, yeah.
It is good to be true.
Yeah.
Dang.
I have this one style shoot I did with my homie Carly Saber, one of my favorite planners, and my one of a good friend Taylor McCutcheon. He's a good photographer, great photographer, and just a killer lineup of vendors. And man, and when we had just like everything you could want at Silverado Resort in Napa.
Yeah,
we had a classic. I can't talk. Classic baby blue Mercedes Benz, like vintage one. Homie brought it out. Just amazing, you know, vendors, and that styled shoot film I put out, arguably some of the best work I've done, and it wasn't a wedding, and I was like, shit, like people are gonna see this and like, yo, I want that. I'm like, yeah, me too. Like we had the perfect lighting and situation and color palette, you know, like that's just not life. It doesn't work out that way all the time, you know.
Definitely not. But would you say like your approach? I know you're doing this for like how many years now?
Do what now? Sorry.
The video.
How many years have I done it? I've done video now. Shoot, 3 years. That's it.
Okay.
3 or 4 years for weddings.
Okay. Now that we talked about, you know, like you seeing more of just traditional stuff.
Yeah.
Right. Like before it was cool, but now as you're evolved, it becomes kind of more. I would say you said less traditional approach.
Yeah. So
how did your style, like, how did you change that, and what would you say kind of approach now upon documenting?
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I mean, I got so bored really seeing all these films when I first started out, like that were nothing but slow motion. They didn't tell a story. They didn't feel like I didn't feel anything from them, you know. Like when I'm watching a movie and you create conflict, right? In a movie, when we go to see movies, even in like the most amazing heartfelt Disney movie, right?
Yeah.
Beginning of Up, there's like the biggest damn conflict ever.
Yeah.
Those poor old people, like, come on, man. But they got you right away, and they're like, damn it, Disney, you got me again. Was it Disney, right? Pixar? What was that?
That was the thing.
Shit.
That's fine.
Sorry, guys. Yeah, so we're watching Up, man. They have like the biggest conflict right off the bat.
Yeah.
I mean, you might not think of it as conflict, but it's true. Like, and they create that, and then you get that resolution, that feel good moment. Weddings are no different. We're still telling a story, still a day, and so like finding that story, finding that maybe a conflict, and it doesn't have to be a bad thing. Maybe the couple went through something together. Maybe they overcame something in their relationship. Those are conflicts that you can use and then create a resolution and help tell a story.
Yeah.
So when I wasn't seeing that in films, I was like, okay, there's got to be more to this. And I also wasn't exposed, though, I will be honest, to as many wedding filmmakers as I am now.
Yeah.
There are so many talented wedding filmmakers
For sure.
that are doing just that. But at the time, I just wasn't exposed to much of that. So I kept seeing, like, what can I contribute? And I wanted fun and funky and colorful, and dare I say, less vanilla, more rocky road.
Yeah, that's the tagline right there.
I wanted something that wasn't so vanilla, and I what would I want in my film? Like I didn't have a film, like what would I want to see? And I think that's what I looked for. I was like, I wanted something that was just upbeat and fun and real life, like that left all the sniffles and ugly crying in. You know what I mean? Like all that real shit that happens at a wedding.
Yeah,
I want to leave it in and just let people feel and experience it. I'm so many times now, couples that hire me, they're like, I feel like I was at this wedding and I have no idea who these people are. And I'm bawling my eyes out in my office or in my living room, right, watching this film. And I don't know why. And it's like, that makes me feel very, very good that, people connect with it. But also like the biggest reason is that office, I most of the time don't have couples looking at the camera.
Yeah.
Like I will every once in a while as an impactful thing, but a lot of times I feel, and it's not that I'm a fly on the wall, I just don't direct and that often and to a point that it feels staged.
Yeah. 100%.
So I think that that's kind of how my style came about. I just wanted to see more of what I wanted out of my own wedding film. And now, I'm kind of known for a very specific style. I don't ever want to pigeonhole myself if I want to be more creative or do something less, but also just, like I've said before, I don't force it. If a couple is not fun, funky, rad, like, and I don't mean rad like a bad, like if they're not like super outgoing, right? Maybe, or they don't have tattoo artists at their wedding. Shout out Megan and Anthony. Yeah, they don't have those things at their wedding. I'm not going to like go balls deep, crazy, wild, overlay like city with wild whip pan transitions and overlays. And, I'm not going to do that because it doesn't fit that couple.
Right.
And I think that just remaining true and authentic to that couple and curating something special and bespoke to them is where you're going to tell your most authentic story,
Love that.
I don't know if that.
No, it's great. Now, you took me on a journey how your appetite changed for the way you create, right? Because as you stay in the industry for long, I feel like your appetite changes. Your palate changes for what you want. And it's like a flavor wheel. Yeah. You start with like more adventures, like that entails this different type of people. So for us too, like really, I feel like our approach, our focus journey is approach like really took a shift in 2020. After like when the micro wedding starts happening. And I feel like we all hear like storytelling is a key, but like we kind of shifted our mindset a little bit. We want to be like story listeners first, and storyteller second. So we shifted that and like, man, let's make this like really change our approach and how we shoot films. Let's literally listen to what the couple's story is, what matters to them, what's important. Like your family's important, the unity of the families, seeing grandparents for the first time or whatever it is. Significant to their story, and I feel like for us, it's like really shifting our approach to more documentary. And really capturing what matters to them. And that's a lot of just getting to know the couple more intentional. So when our films really thrive on dialogue, so when our appetite is that, what drives our film is the narrative throughout the day, through the speeches, through their vows, through those little like in between moments from his documentary, you know. So anything that shines a light on who they are, and that what makes it unique,
Yeah.
You know, and each and every one of our films is like different because it's their day, and I feel like that's what kind of like shifted our approach a little bit.
Yeah, you guys you have a very specific style, and I love it because like I feel like it's a little bit of like we were talking earlier when I had lunch. Justin Porter, he does like that all in documentary or more like Kardashians vibe
or a reality TV show.
Yeah, and which is cool. It's his thing, but like I feel like you guys like just have a little tiny touch of that because of the dialogue, which is great. Like so much dialogue in a good way, which is really awesome. But it's not like, you know, it's not full on like crazy production. You know what I mean? Yeah. Which is awesome because, I mean, when you shoot with me, that's my favorite part of the stuff you do because you talk to couples a lot in the guests, and you get like that real deal like dialogue and real sound. The sound bites are just like irreplaceable. You know what I mean? Like they make such a difference. I mean, straight up, like I have dreams about like Caroline and Austin's. I remember when I first editing, I was editing that thing so much, and I heard paparazzi, how you feeling?
That's funny, man.
That's straight up Aaron right there from the beginning, and it was like the intro, you know, and like fucking Caroline, I feel like a rainbow.
I feel like a queen. I feel like a wet puppy dog that just married her dream man under a rainbow.
Yeah.
You know, like, and that was like that made that film, man. And then and so what you guys do leaning into dialogue is so awesome because it really does push a story. Yeah. But I think that, like you said, it comes down to listening. Right. You know, and like that's a important character attribute that a lot of people don't have. Yeah. Being able to listen. Yeah. You know, like I talk a lot. You know, but it's like, and I'm always working on getting better at listening and not just like anticipating what I'm going to say next. Right. It's important to actually listen, not just hear.
Yeah, it helps actually coming to the day.
Yeah.
Knowing like what's important to them. Mm-hmm. Now we have a focus. Yeah. Now we have like more narrowed down. Like I know we can capture the day as it is, but you know, like this is what's important. Let's try to extract that out of the day. Yeah. So they're going to be so present and locked in on their day. They're going to forget some of those moments and stuff, but we're there to take it out. Yeah. Say this like, you know, our angle, you know, and getting that out. I know it's going to be a lot of emotion here from the vows. So a lot of things from the speeches. So being aware of those little things already, how we capture even like, we capture more fast paced stuff, capture more intimate stuff on the day. So, but yeah, our appetite, definitely the flavor is definitely also like the adventurous, fun. We love fun weddings. Yeah. Because, this makes, you know, I feel like we're more part of the day. Yeah, and definitely. Just people who just love themselves. Yeah. Actually have right now a market of just like people have been together for 10 years. Yeah. Like a lot of our couples actually has been together for a while. Oh, wow. Like really long, like high school sweethearts. Damn. We've had a lot of those middle school sweethearts who just really just like have a knack for just like, we just want to talk about each other all day. So we love couples like that. And we've had a lot of those and feel like we built that kind of audience and stuff. Yeah. Throughout the years. But I know you can resonate with this too, because that's how, you know, I found you. It's like, it's going back to the whole vibe, hiring people like your wedding vendors. A lot of our couples actually hire us or see us from our Instagram stories. Yeah. Because I feel like when you post a lot of behind the scenes, you know, if you guys like vibing and partying with a couple and just being in the moment with them, it's like, oh, some of our inquiries and couple tells us, hey, yeah, we actually saw your Instagram stories. I feel like you guys having fun with the couple and just like, it feels like you're guests and stuff. Yeah. And that's the feedback we always get.
That's huge, man.
Before we meet the couple, even after the wedding.
That's huge.
That's just the feedback we get. It's like, yo, everybody loved you guys, and you guys felt like you're just like a part of the wedding day.
Yeah, and you know, I've had a few people that are like, man, like I just had this engagement session, and the couple, when they met me, I mean, within probably like, I don't know, a little bit, an hour or so into our session, they were like, the groom said, you are just like you are on Instagram. Like you're like just how I thought you'd be. Yeah. Like you're very outgoing and fun. I like to think I'm pretty fun, but it was very refreshing to hear that because, you know, my wife always says, Chase, you put on that's like the fake voice. Like, hey, what's up, guys? How's it going? You know? And it's like, I feel like that's our business voice, you know, like, if I got on IG and said, hi, how you guys doing today? You know,
it's a different brand.
That's a different brand, and I'm not trying to be that all the time. But that might be real Chase most of the time when I'm, you know, busy working or I'm tired, but
Yeah.
you got to turn on your work voice a little bit. But I like to think I'm pretty much the same person you see on my stories, but I'm very present on my IG because I want people to find someone they connect with and to know right off the bat this is what you're getting yourself into.
Right, exactly.
Like if you don't like this, like if you don't like, this giant Shrek-esque man wandering around your fucking wedding, go elsewhere and kick rocks, all right?
That's funny.
It's true though.
No, it's true. Like for me, it's like, dude, like when I saw your work, man, I was like, dude, I already like this guy's work. It's good job, but dude, like it's gonna be more fun if you include this guy at your wedding. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it makes a huge difference. That's awesome that your couples have said that about like just the stories.
Yeah,
it shows the importance of like showing up on social media, as exhausting as it can be. To do that, it is great because people do watch that stuff.
Yeah.
Those little what are those called? Little highlight buttons on IG. Man, I add to those every single day. I feel like because those things, they're like a library. People can just like tap through that and like, oh, look what they've done, or what the kind of people they are. They kind of can get an idea pretty quick, So I like that
for sure, man. Yeah. So at the end of the day, man. So just going back to the importance of this. So what would you like? How do you think the shape of the wedding industry is going to be in the next few years in terms of like documentation content?
Well, I saw Salt and Pine Films. Do you know those guys? They're phenomenal filmmakers, and they recently did a question on their stories, and they kind of asked the same thing, like, what do you see the trend being for videography and wedding films in the next few years? Yeah. And I kind of leaned into the whole, by the way, guys, making a Calimocho, red wine and Coke.
I'm going to try that, actually.
is the move. I mean, okay, this Barbera from Runquist out of Amador, phenomenal. It doesn't need it, but sometimes I like a little Calimocho. And if you have the chance, I don't have any ice or lime right now, but red wine, Coke, lime and ice, you got yourselves a little poor man sangria right there, eh?
Actually pretty good.
Yeah, it's fire.
Need some lime, but man.
Yeah, it's pretty fire.
It's fire.
Especially with a cherry Coke. Oh my goodness.
Jeez.
Brings out the cherry in the Barbera. But yeah. Salt and Pine Films, phenomenal filmmakers. They asked that question and I was talking with them and responded. And I think like for me, as long as I'm not forcing anything and I curate a film that feels like the couple, to me that's timeless, whether it's fun and wild and crazy edits or more slow paced and more, I don't want to say traditional, but more, and that leans into that, I don't, almost safer, but like in a good way. I still try to add some edge to it. I think that's all that matters to me. Like, I don't care what the trends are. I really just want to show up for couples and tell their story in the most authentic way. Yeah. And to them, right? And their vibe and how they express their love. Like, what's their love language? That's one of my favorite questions on the questionnaire. Like, how do you express your love together? Right. Like that kind of stuff tells me a lot about people. So, but I do think a lot of people, like Salt and Pine, they kind of talked about this. Their focus is like they've been so into like the fast cuts and the upbeat, which is I do a lot of that, and I'm a musician, so I edit a lot to the music. Yeah. But they're like, we really are wanting to stick more onto those long shots, like hold the camera out longer, right? Really like absorb those moments more and more into that almost like editorial style filmmaking, which is beautiful too. Like it feels. Do you know Mark Bone?
Yeah, Mark Bone, our documentary.
Yeah, our documentary. Yeah. Phenomenal filmmaker, one of my favorites. He just posted a video about cinema verite, and that's like an old classic style of filmmaking where they would have like cameras running for hours on end, nonstop. Wow. To capture things as they happen, and you're not forcing things. You're not like little clips. You're just like letting that baby run. Yeah. And it's hard to do that at a wedding. Yeah. For one, storage is expensive. Yeah. But absolutely. Like, and then culling that footage would be a nightmare. But so much now, like as I film, I'm like, okay, I want to hold this shot longer. Yeah. Because something might happen. Right. You're feeling that anticipation. For sure. And if you don't, you have the lucky privilege of shooting on digital, SD cards. We're not shooting on film, like, we're not shooting on tape. Right. We can just easily delete this shit later on, So I think that's kind of the trend moving forward. People being even more intentional and, maybe leaning in more into like the longer form content. I know short form is really popular, but those longer takes, those longer films. What do you think?
Yeah, I see the style being more classic, being more organic, like kind of what you're saying, like letting moments breathe and happen.
Yeah.
And I feel like people are slowly like learning. I feel like composition will change.
Yeah.
Very like more intentional filmmaking will happen. Not just like, of course, there's fun stuff happening, but like in terms of like the way we compose our couples, the way we shot selection, you know, I think it's gonna be more intentional, and also color too. I think it's gonna be more emphasis now. Like people who's in this game will start slowly with the cameras we have.
Yeah.
People slowly get better colors, better quality, picture quality, you know, and I feel like
there's just too many tools to not take advantage of.
Yeah.
Like there's no excuse now. Like you have in this day and age, it's like the best time to be a creator, especially a photographer, filmmaker.
Yeah.
For filmmaker specifically, we have every opportunity to learn from the best filmmakers.
Yeah.
To just download test footage from all these cameras and to like edit them and get better at editing those kind of things, and to like learn how to shoot on the shadow side more, and to learn those techniques that are going to make it so much more, you know, I don't want to say cinematic, but cinematic, you know, you know, like it really does make a difference. And at a wedding, it's harder because you can't always control it, but you can control things more than you think sometimes. By placing people on just the right light.
Yeah. End of the day too, like the name of the game, I feel like, is always, you know, as long as the couples are present during the day, that's one. But two is efficiency. Yeah. Like, how do we get those staple moments and not take away the couple from the day?
Exactly.
So, getting a system of that, and also, I think those two things. And as far as like approach and stuff, I think timeless style is always going to win. Yeah. You know, storytelling will always win. As long as you have those elements and stuff. I think, but the next 5 years, though, I can imagine.
Yeah, man, it's going to be interesting. I had a couple yesterday I talked to, and they were like, we really like the testimonials. We really could give a shit less about our getting ready. And I was like, oh, really? And they're like, yeah, we don't really care about that. We don't really care about flat lays. And they're like, yeah, okay. We want more of our people.
There you go.
More of our people and more of our guests. Like that's, and I was like, yes, thank you. Because those things are nice to have, those little B-roll moments, but I try not to overuse them in films because, you know, I asked in my questionnaire, like, place the importance of these things, right? Getting ready, detail, all those things. Obviously, planners, they're going to love those details.
Of course.
If you get those details, actually make some real.
All their hard work.
And so sometimes I'm just like, if I have the time, I'm making those details more for, like, if I can make a reel for them, right? And help them out later on. But as far as the film goes, I mean, all of it tells a story, right? It's just a matter of how much and what is going to help really push the story forward and really shape the whole day. And every couple is different. And some of them don't give a shit, apparently, about, you know, X, Y, and Z. Which I love that though. And more people are like, hey, I want my people. I don't really care about a sunset session, you know? It's like, as much as we might love that and create our best work, I think that's the challenge. Like, no, we can create better work outside of that. Yeah. Just get creative. Lean into the stuff that's not like, you know, like the, as they call it, what is it? The ugly food, you know, like the ugly food kind of stuff. Yeah. You know, like the imperfect things. Lean into the imperfectness. Imperfect. I don't even know if that's a word. Imperfections of a wedding day, because that's what will make it perfect.
Exactly. Right? And everything doesn't have to be manicured.
Exactly.
The day. So.
Well, man, I think we covered a lot of great things today.
I think so.
It's a good kickoff for weddings and what we're going to be talking about in the future, you know? Yeah. There's so many things to talk about in filmmaking, and I think it'd be interesting to talk more about maybe like just how photography is going to be evolving as well. Yeah, in the future on our next episode, just to see the duality, maybe, you know, of just like photographer and videographer and that relationship. You know, it's almost like they're viewed sometimes as enemies, mortal enemies, but no, we're there to serve the couple. You know, and people that shoot like both of us, we shoot both. Yeah, that's where we connect the best with those other people. Yeah, we know what they're looking for.
On the next episode, we'd love to hear your experiences with that. Yeah, and see you work with a lot of other photographers.
Oh yeah. So yeah, that down the aisle shot, man, that's the controversial one.
I love that. It's always the conflict.
I love always the conflict, and I got a resolution for that one, so we'll talk about that later. So we appreciate you guys. On to the next one. We'll talk to you guys soon. A little off-white appetite.
Off appetite. See you soon.
Yeah, man. See what you're craving, guys. See ya.